I would like to invite our first speaker, Professor Sergiu Hart, to open the evening. Professor Hart is the chairperson of the Humanities Division of the Israel Academy of Sciences and Humanities.
Thank you. So it is really an honor for me to open this event in memory of David Schmeidler. Now, if you are wondering, the Israeli Academy has two divisions, since lots of people ask me, so let me make it now common knowledge. There are two divisions. There is the Sciences Division and the Humanities Division. And the Humanities Division includes social sciences and law and a few other things. So David Schmeidler and me and Aumann and other people that you may know are members of the Humanities Division. Okay? So that's how a mathematician becomes chairman of the Humanities Division. Okay. So now, dear Dalia, Neta, Tali, Gili, the Schmeidler family, Academy members, colleagues, friends, those who are watching this online, those who in the future will watch the recording, it happens. I sometimes look at old lectures. It's interesting. The Academy organizes events when Academy members reach the age of 80, also 90, and any multiple of 10 as following that. Also, it organizes events, again, scientific events, as we have this evening, in honor of Academy members that passed away. And unfortunately, David passed away a year ago, and we now have a scientific event in his memory. Now, I think that everybody here knows who David Schmeidler was. Okay? A world-leading economist, particularly in the areas of decision theory, game theory, and economic theory. Let me give a few details on David's life. He was born in 1939 in Krakow, Poland. Immigrated to Israel 10 years later in 1949. He studied at the Hebrew University mathematics, years 1960 to 69. Got his bachelor, BSc, MSc, and PhD under the supervision of Israel Aumann. In fact, he was the second student of Israel Aumann, if I'm not mistaken. The first one was Bezalel Peleg, and David Schmeidler was the second student of Israel Aumann. And there are quite a number of his students present in this room. His PhD was on the nucleolus, and somehow I have an inkling that Aumann in his talk is going to mention it. Am I right? The nucleolus. Nucleolus. Yeah. He's going to talk about it, yes. Following that, he was at COR in Belgium, Berkeley, and then Tel Aviv University in 1971, Department of Statistics, which then became part of the School of Mathematical Sciences, Department of Economics, and then also in the business school. He was also at Ohio State University, also had an appointment at Ohio State University and at Reichman University, what was called at the time the Interdisciplinary Center. He was elected member of the Israeli Academy of Sciences in 2013, and I remember his inaugural lecture. At that time, the lecturers, there is one open meeting where each new Academy member gives a talk, of course, on the subjects that he cares about. And David Schmeidler was the last talk of that evening. I don't remember, I think there were 5 or 6. And talks were about 20 minutes. Nowadays, this year, we elected 10 new members, so each one got only 10 minutes. Was shorter. Still was a very long evening. But at that point, David put his first slide with a title, then put his second slide, one sentence, and he said, I think you heard enough this evening. And he sat down. Okay? Vintage David Schmeidler. Okay? I think that you recognize that. Then he was the president of the Game Theory Society 2014 through 2016. And by the way, most of you will recognize what I'm going to say now. In 2012, he was elected vice president, then to become president 2 years later. And it's a real election. There were two candidates. And he ran against a well-known and well-established game theorist and economist, very famous, and David won. Okay? That shows you something about the appreciation he had in the profession. The candidate that lost was quite upset. And there was a question, how can one compensate him? Well, half a year later, he got the Nobel Prize. A little compensation. You can figure out who I'm talking about. By the way, David kept blaming me personally for convincing him to be president of the Game Theory Society. See that Ehud does, yeah. I'm sorry, I told him it's not much work and it's fun. I don't know. I still think it was fun and not much work, but David is David. He didn't like this kind of things. Now let me say a few words about his scientific contributions. So nucleolus, concept in cooperative game theory, as I said, I trust that Yisrael Aumann is going to say something about it. So I'm just a telegraphic list that I'm going to present. Strategic games with a continuum of players. Again, a major contribution. So when you have not two players, not 3 players, not 100 players, but you have a continuum of players, then the whole thing changes, and you have to look at payoffs that depend not on what individual players do, but on what the aggregate does. Then in the late 80s, his major contribution, 2 papers on non-Bayesian decision theory under uncertainty. Now, just to make it clear, uncertainty means that you do not know probabilities on things that you don't know what they are. Okay? Unknown probability distributions. Okay? That's uncertainty versus risk, where you do have probability distributions. Again, for the non-technical people, maybe this goes it's a little too much, but nevertheless, I think that that's an important distinction. And so he had a paper. One paper was on non-additive probabilities. The other was on multiple priors, paper together with Gilboa. I think it was part of your PhD, perhaps, or was after? Okay. When he was still a young kid doing his PhD. Okay. Very powerful models, very useful. It really changed the way that economics and other professions look at uncertainty. Okay. It's a major milestone. Case-based decision theory, again, work with Gilboa. Okay? This is just, I took 4 or 5 highlights of his work, but his work is extremely varied, is extremely deep, it's extremely original, and he always kept asking important questions. That's also crucial. Okay? You can give very deep and beautiful results on unimportant questions. David did very beautiful, deep, and original results on important questions. Okay? So as I said, David was an extremely deep person. He was also very generous with his colleagues, sharing his ideas, sharing his insights. I must say that I didn't work much with David, despite the fact that we coincided at Tel Aviv University. But I remember that working with David goes like this. I say something, then David says, slow down, slow down, slow down. Wait a minute. Now, for those who don't know David, they'll say, okay, David doesn't follow. Okay, you have to explain it slowly. No, it's not that. David already understood what you are saying, and he already found your mistake. That's why he said, slow down, let's go slowly, and you will see yourself your mistake. Okay? That's how it is working with David. I think that some of the other co-authors may have shared this experience. By the way, when I came to Tel Aviv University, David Schmeidler was a chairman. And he told me, welcome to the department. That's how David would talk, very slowly. And he told me, look, most of your academic career, you are going to be a full professor. But until you'll get there, they are going to squeeze you dry. Yotziu lecha et hamitz. That's in Hebrew, which I think I translated it as best as I could. And then he continued, if you want to know how long a promotion will take in Israel, think always about the worst possible case. And then add one more year. Okay, so I want to thank you all for coming here. I want to thank Tzachi Gilboa, who really organized this evening. Now, formally, it says that Bob Aumann, myself, and Tzachi Gilboa organized this evening. No, Tzachi Gilboa organized this evening. We just didn't interfere. Okay, here and there we wrote an email. Yes, we agree. Okay, that's how it went, more or less. I want to thank the Academy staff that is behind the scenes here. Sima Daniel, Ziva Dekel, Kochi Mamrani, Michael Zaguri, Yaakov Rotman, Michael Cohen, Oli Dahan, Neri Leader, Yonatan Levy, and everyone under the general manager, Galia Finzi, who now is also running the show at the other president mansion just across the street. So I wish us all a fruitful evening, to enjoy a fruitful evening. And we thanks to David that brought us all together here. It's unfortunate that he only appears in picture, and we would have wished that he was here in person. But thanks to David for all the years that we enjoyed together. May his memory be blessed. Yehi zichro baruch.